shattered floor and breathe the rising dust. I rip the heavy door to scrape away the rust. I give you something more, a structure you can trust. I reach the very core because I know I must. I hear the tempest roar with every forward thrust. I crush it with my hands to make the vision clear. Across the ruined lands, I bring you safely near. The quiet shelter stands without a single fear. I break the iron bands for only you to hear. I shift the heavy sands inside our atmosphere. I take the crushing weight and tear away the wall. I never hesitate, I answer every call. I build a different state to catch you when you fall. I open up the gate so you can stand up tall. I wipe the ruined slate and offer you my all. I take the crushing weight and tear away the wall. I never hesitate, I answer every call. I build a different state so you can stand up tall. I wipe the ruined slate and offer you my all. We strike the surface of the ground. The morning breaks across your face. A beating rhythm is the sound. The bitter winter leaves this place. The heavy history is drowned. I lock you in a tight embrace. The rushing elements abound. The heat completely fills the space. Fills the space. The planet turns in cycles round. There is no fracture left to trace. The perfect frequency is found. I feel the rush of saving grace. The heavy history is drowned. I lock you in a tight embrace. The rushing elements abound. The heat completely fills the space. We pull the color all around and match the rising morning pace. The heavy armor is unwound. We run the final rapid race. A sudden energy profound. The bursting sun will set the base. I keep you anchored safe and sound. We stand forever in this place. corner in the dark and slow, the engine cutting through the pouring rain.
I watch the numbers on the dashboard show and try to numb the quiet in my brain. There's miles of empty heather just below, a heavy mist that swallows up miles ago, a sickness pulling at an open vein. I let the heater in the cabin blow to wash the freezing water from the pain.
You are the only gravity I know,
Only you.
to wash away the bitter, to wash away the bitter, toxic stain. The radio is playing soft and low to ease the tension of the heavy strain. I let the rhythm of the journey flow, a quiet panic circling the drain. I have a heavy debt I finally owe, a desperate anchor on a rusted chain. I need to follow everywhere you go to break the border of the empty plain. I pass the markers buried in the snow to leave the pavement and the grand domain. I kill the headlights so the beams won't throw a silver warning on the weather vane. I step into the icy undertow, I stand outside and let the madness grow, to face the ruin that will still remain.
A violent habit that I can't outgrow, the beautiful and devastating pain.
You are the only gravity I know,
Only you.
to wash away the bitter, to wash away the bitter, toxic stain. The radio is playing soft and low to ease the tension of the heavy strain. I let the rhythm of the journey flow, a quiet panic circling the drain. I have a heavy debt I finally owe, a desperate anchor on a rusted chain. I need to follow everywhere you go to break the border of the empty plain.
Truth is all I need to know. You look at me and make the heavy light. There is a steady rhythm in the flow, a sudden clarity that breaks the night.
We do not need a complicated game, I only want the truth of what we are. There is a gentle power in your name, there is a gentle power in your name, a constant navigation by a star.
This love is simple as the air I breathe, a deeply rooted trust I can defend. You give me every reason to believe, a kind of loyalty that will not end, a kind of loyalty that will not end. The rushing world is spinning out of view, but we are standing on a solid ground. There is an open honesty in you, there is an open honesty in you. The sweetest silence in the rushing sound. This love is simple as the air I breathe, a deeply rooted trust I can defend. You give me every reason to believe, a kind of loyalty that will not end, a kind of loyalty that will not end.
I strip away the armor of the past and lay my real intentions on the line. I know this open purity will last, because your steady heartbeat matches mine. No hidden motives in the way we fall, just perfect clarity inside the deep, the most profound surrender of them all. A promise that my soul will always keep.
I am the heavy ancient stone. I leave the chaos far behind. I take the damage to the bone. You are the focus in my mind. No, you have a shelter, you can find the dark alone. I block the terror, calm and blind. This is the strongest love we've known. These are the heavy roots that bind. You can find, you do not face the dark alone. I block the terror, calm and blind. This is the strongest love we've known. These are the heavy roots that storm surrounds the sky.
The sudden winter turns so cold.
The brutal tempest passes high. I will not let the passion die.
This is the promise you were told.
This is the promise you were told.
Behind and walk into our space. The only peace I find is resting on your face.
I clear my heavy mind. You are my safe embrace. The broken parts on within this quiet place. The world is past control, but here the water stills the center of my soul. We leave the bitter chills, we make each other whole. Upon the rising hills, you are my only goal. The love you're touching stills.
The rushing sound is clear, the weather in the sky. I keep you breathing near, the waves are never high.
Your steady beat I hear, the safety in your eye.
I lose my every follow where you lead.
We watch the water fall with matching pulse and speed beneath the open dome. I plant this quiet seed.
Step into the freezing heavy tide and turn our backs against the burning skies. There is no shelter left for us to hide. I only see the ruin in your eyes. The current pulls us under by our side, but this is where our perfect quiet lies. I let the crushing ocean be our guide as every trace of desperation dies.
I gladly drown my vanity and pride as long as I am holding to our ties. I listen for the heavy rhythmic sound near and pull your shaking body close to fear. We sink into the blindly bound. The violent water washes crystal clear of the way our oxygen is drowned. The only peace that I have ever found is falling to the very bottom here. The final ray of light is fading fast. We plummet to the crushing velvet deep. The brutal storms above are in the past and give us over to a heavy sleep. The darkness of the trench is getting vast. The anchor of our heavy hearts is cast. welcome the momentum of the fall. I trace the freezing water on your face. I do not hear the desperation call. We vanish in this desolate cold space. The pressure crushes every single wall. A brutal and magnificent thing and all. We sink without a surface is impossible and small. We settle in our final resting place. We sink without a solitary trace. We settle in our final resting